Our story begins not with a king in a castle, but with a Roman legionary marching on a long, straight road. When the Romans arrived in Britain nearly 2,000 years ago, they brought with them more than just soldiers and strange new gods. They brought money. Specifically, they brought silver coins. Before this, the local Celtic tribes had their own coins, but the Roman system was something else entirely. It was organized, it was widespread, and it was based on the powerful gleam of silver. These coins, called denarii, were the backbone of the Roman economy, used for everything from paying soldiers their wages to buying goods in a bustling market town like Londinium. Imagine a Romano-British merchant, perhaps selling fine wool or sturdy pottery. He wouldn't have been bartering with his customers. Instead, he would have been counting out these small, precious discs of silver. Each coin was stamped with the face of the emperor, a constant reminder of who was in charge, even thousands of miles from Rome itself. This was more than just commerce. It was a form of propaganda, a way of stamping Roman authority onto the very fabric of daily life. For the people living in Britain, these silver coins represented a new world of trade, taxes, and imperial power, linking their small island to a vast and powerful empire. The silver for these coins was often mined right here in Britain. The Romans were expert engineers and wasted no time in exploiting the island's rich mineral resources, particularly in places like the Mendip Hills in Somerset. They established sophisticated mining operations with shafts and drainage systems, all to extract the precious metal that would be melted down and struck into denarii. This meant that the very land of Britain was being used to create the currency that controlled it. The flow of silver was the lifeblood of the Roman province, funding the construction of villas, bathhouses, and forts that we can still see the ruins of today. But when the Roman Empire began to crumble in the early 5th century, so did its monetary system. The legions were recalled, the supply of new coins dried up, and Britain was left in a state of economic confusion. People began to hoard the old Roman silver, burying it in the ground for safekeeping in times of trouble. Archaeologists today are still discovering these incredible hoards, little time capsules of wealth and fear. The departure of the Romans left a vacuum, and the shiny silver denarii slowly disappeared from use. Britain was plunged into a dark age, and it would be several hundred years before silver would once again become the foundation of a new English currency. Out of the fragmented world the Romans left behind, new kingdoms began to emerge. These were the Anglo-Saxons, and they needed their own money. For a while, they relied on imported gold coins from the continent, but something new was on the horizon. Around the 7th century, a small, rather humble silver coin appeared. It was called a skeet, but the coin that would truly define the age, and indeed the next 1,000 years of English history, was the silver penny. First introduced by powerful kings like Offa of Mercia in the late 8th century, the penny was a game changer. It was a coin of remarkable quality and consistency for its time. This wasn't just any old piece of silver. The Anglo-Saxon penny was a symbol of royal power and a tool for unifying the emerging kingdom of England. Each coin was struck with the king's name and sometimes his portrait, making it clear who was in authority. This was crucial in a time of competing warlords and shifting allegiances. To control the coinage was to control the economy. Kings established regional mints all across the country, from Canterbury to York, ensuring their pennies were available everywhere. This network of mints helped to standardize the currency and foster a sense of a single economic entity, a vital step on the road to creating England itself. The penny was the workhorse of the Anglo-Saxon economy. While a single penny was a significant amount of money, perhaps enough to buy a sheep, they were used for all sorts of transactions. They were used to pay taxes, fines and rents, and to buy land and goods. The Vikings, who arrived first to raid and then to settle, were particularly interested in this silver. They demanded huge payments known as danegeld, all paid in silver pennies, to stop their attacks. This created a massive drain on England's resources, but also shows just how important and widely recognized these little silver coins had become, even among their enemies. The design of these early pennies tells a fascinating story. They were hand-struck, meaning a blank piece of silver was placed between two dies and hit with a hammer. This process meant that no two coins were ever exactly alike. Early designs were often based on Roman models, but they soon developed a distinctly Anglo-Saxon style. The portraits of the kings, while not always realistic, were powerful statements of their authority. The quality of the silver was usually very high, which gave the English penny a fantastic reputation across Europe. This small silver coin was far more than just money. It was the foundation stone of a nation's identity and economic strength. In 1066, everything changed. The victory of William the Conqueror at the Battle of Hastings wasn't just a military or political takeover. It was a revolution that reached into every aspect of English life, including the money in people's pockets. The Normans were brilliant administrators, and they quickly recognized the value of the Anglo-Saxon coinage system. They didn't scrap it. They took it over and made it even more rigorous and centralized. William the Conqueror kept the silver penny as the main coin of the realm, but imposed much stricter controls over its production to assert his new authority over his conquered kingdom. Under the Normans, the system of mints and moneyers, the skilled individuals responsible for making the coins, was brought under tight royal control. The penalties for producing substandard or lightweight coins were incredibly severe, often involving mutilation or even death. This was because the king's reputation rested on the quality of his currency. If the coins were good, it showed he was a strong and just ruler. The Normans introduced regular recoinages, where all the old coins had to be handed in and exchanged for new designs. This was a clever way for the monarch to make a profit, but it also helped to keep the currency consistent and reliable. It is during this period that we see the term sterling begin to emerge. While its exact origin is debated, the most likely theory is that it referred to the little star or starling that appeared on some early Norman pennies. Whatever its origin, the name became synonymous with the high quality of English silver. The standard was set at 92.5% pure silver, a benchmark of purity that would become famous around the world. This sterling silver wasn't just a measure of quality, it was a guarantee. It meant that a merchant in France or Flanders could accept an English silver penny with absolute confidence in its value. The Norman silver penny continued the Anglo-Saxon tradition of being the only coin in circulation for a very long time. This could be rather inconvenient. If you needed to pay for something that cost less than a penny, you had to physically cut the coin into halves or quarters, creating halfpennies and farthings or fourthings. This is why many medieval pennies found by archaeologists are in fragments. The designs on the Norman coins also changed. The portraits of the king became more stylized and were often shown full face, staring out with an expression of stern authority. This was Norman power, stamped in pure silver for everyone to see and use. Fast forward to the 16th century and the larger-than-life Tudor dynasty. This was an age of immense change, and the coinage tells a story of crisis and brilliant recovery. The trouble really began with King Henry VIII. He was a king who liked to spend lavishly on palaces, on art, and especially on expensive wars with France and Scotland. By the 1540s, the royal coffers were running desperately low. His solution was a disastrous plan known as the Great Debasement. He ordered the mints to reduce the amount of precious silver in the coins and replace it with cheap base metal like copper. He was in effect cheating his own people. The public were not fooled for a moment. They could see the new coins were of poor quality. The silver coating on the copper-rich coins would often wear off first on the highest point of the portrait, the king's nose. This earned Henry the unflattering nickname, Old Copper Nose. People lost all faith in the currency. They would hoard the older, good-quality silver coins and try to pass off the bad ones as quickly as possible. This is a classic economic principle. Bad money drives out good. Prices soared, trade suffered, and the international reputation of English sterling, so carefully built over centuries, was left in tatters. It was a complete and utter mess. The problem continued through the short reign of his son, Edward VI, but the rescue mission began with the arrival of Henry's formidable daughter, Queen Elizabeth I, in 1558. She and her clever advisors, like William Cecil, knew that stabilizing the currency was one of the most important tasks they faced. A strong nation needed strong money. In 1560, Elizabeth embarked on a hugely ambitious plan of reform. She recalled all the debased coins that were still circulating. People could take their copper-nosed shillings to the mint and exchange them for brand new, high-quality coins struck in sterling silver once again. This great recoinage was a logistical masterpiece and a massive success. It restored public confidence in the money and put England's economy back on a stable footing. Elizabeth I was so proud of this achievement that she had medals struck to commemorate it, and even had it mentioned on her tomb. She had saved the English currency. The new coins were also of a much higher quality, thanks to new machinery like the screw press, which was being introduced from Europe. For the first time, coins could be produced that were perfectly round, with intricate, detailed designs. The age of the hand-hammered coin was slowly coming to an end, and Elizabeth's silver had restored the nation's pride. The 17th century was one of the most turbulent periods in British history, and, well, the silver coins of the Stuart era are a testament to the chaos. The century began with the union of the crowns under James I, who styled himself King of Great Britain. His coins reflected this, featuring the combined coats of arms of England and Scotland. But, the real drama unfolded during the reign of his son, Charles I. The conflict between the king and parliament escalated into the brutal English Civil War, and both sides needed money to pay their soldiers and buy weapons. This led to a fascinating and honestly desperate chapter in the story of our coinage. As the war raged, both the royalists and the parliamentarians set up their own emergency mints across the country. The king, forced out of London, established his main mint in Oxford. They melted down whatever silver they could find, university silver plate, family heirlooms, anything, to strike crude but essential coins. These are known as siege pieces, and they are some of the most evocative coins in British history. They were often not even round, but lozenge-shaped or octagonal, hastily cut from silver plates and stamped with a simple design. They tell a raw story of desperation, loyalty, and a country literally tearing itself apart. After the war and the restoration of the monarchy with Charles II in 1660, a major technological leap forward took place. The age of the hammered coin, which had lasted for nearly 1,000 years, was finally over. The government invested in new machinery, driven by horse or water power, that could produce coins of a quality never seen before. These new, milled coins were perfectly circular, had detailed lettering around the edge to stop people from clipping off silver, and featured stunningly realistic portraits. The great artist and engraver Thomas Simon created some of the most beautiful coins ever made, a true celebration of the restored monarchy. This new technology solved many of the old problems. Clipping, the practice of trimming silver from the edge of a coin, became impossible. The quality and weight were now perfectly uniform, which was a huge boost for confidence and trade. The silver coins of the late Stuart period, like the crown, half-crown, shilling, and sixpence, became the familiar currency of the nation. They featured magnificent portraits of the monarchs, from Charles II to Queen Anne, looking proudly into a new age. This transition from hammered to milled coinage marked the birth of modern money, a system built on precision, security, and mechanical perfection. As Britain's influence expanded across the globe in the 18th and 19th centuries, its coins traveled too. The British Empire was, at its heart, a vast trading network, and it needed a reliable currency to function. British silver coins, particularly the shilling and the Spanish silver dollar, which was often counter-stamped by the British for use in the colonies, became a sort of de facto international currency. The sterling standard, which guaranteed that 92.5% silver purity, meant that a British coin was trusted everywhere, from the Caribbean to a trading post in India. This was really the financial lubricant for a global empire. In many parts of the empire, British coins circulated alongside local currencies, or entirely new coinages were created based on the British system. In Australia, for instance, early settlers had to make do with a strange mix of coins from all over the world, until Britain began shipping official currency. They even resorted to punching the middle out of Spanish dollars to create two coins from one, the holy dollar and the dump. This honestly shows the desperate need for a stable and recognized medium of exchange, a role that British silver was perfectly placed to fill. It wasn't just money, it was a projection of British power and reliability. The Royal Mint, based in the Tower of London and later at a new site on Tower Hill, became a coin factory for the world. It wasn't just striking coins for use in Britain, it was also producing vast quantities of currency for its colonies. These often had the same portrait of the British monarch on one side, but featured local symbols or names on the other. For example, coins for British India or Hong Kong would feature Queen Victoria's head, instantly linking them to the authority of the empire, but would have denominations and designs suited to local needs. The sun, it was said, never set on the British Empire, and it rarely set on a transaction being made with a British-made silver coin. This global reach cemented the reputation of sterling as the benchmark for quality and trust. Even countries outside the British Empire looked to the sterling standard as a model for their own currencies. The design and manufacturing quality of British silver coins set a new global standard. The portrait of the reigning monarch, be it George III or Queen Victoria, became one of the most recognizable images on the planet. British silver was more than a domestic currency. It was a global brand, a symbol of economic stability and imperial might that connected millions of people across continents. The end of the Napoleonic Wars in the early 19th century left Britain's coinage in a dreadful state. There was a chronic shortage of silver, and the coins that were in circulation were often worn, clipped, and counterfeit. The government knew, really, that something had to be done. The solution was the Great Recoinage of 1816, a monumental undertaking that reshaped British money for the modern age. The aim was to replace all the old, unreliable silver with a brand new, machine-made currency. At the same time, Britain officially adopted the gold standard, meaning the ultimate value of its currency was now tied to gold, not silver. This was a fundamental shift. For the first time in 1,000 years, silver was no longer the primary measure of value. The new gold coin, the sovereign, became the star of the show. Silver coins were now token coinage, meaning their metallic value was less than their face value. A shilling was worth a shilling because the government said so, not because it contained a shilling's worth of silver. This was a crucial step towards a more modern, abstract idea of money. The Royal Mint worked at an incredible pace, and in 1817 the nation's old silver coins were exchanged for the shiny new ones. The new coins were magnificent. They featured a new portrait of the aging King George III, and on the larger coins, a spectacular new design of Saint George, slaying the dragon by the brilliant Italian engraver, Benedetto Pistrucci. This design is so iconic that it is still used on the gold sovereign today. The public loved the new money. For the first time in decades, people could have complete confidence in the coins they were using. The shilling, the sixpence, and the half-crown became the familiar silver workhorses of the Victorian era, used to pay for everything from a train ticket to a pint of beer. Throughout the long reign of Queen Victoria, these silver coins were a constant feature of daily life. Their designs changed with the Queen's portraits, from the young head of her accession to the Jubilee head and finally the old head, where she is shown as a veiled widow. These coins really chart the course of an entire era. They were used by people from every walk of life, from factory workers to wealthy industrialists. But the world was changing, the cost of silver was fluctuating, and the reliance on a precious metal for everyday currency was beginning to seem old-fashioned. The golden age of silver coinage was unknowingly drawing to a close. The 20th century dealt the final blows to silver's long reign in British currency. The first major shock was the First World War. The conflict was unimaginably expensive, and the government needed every resource it could get its hands on, including precious metals. In 1920, just after the war, a momentous decision was made. To save money and pay off war debts, the silver content of Britain's silver coins was drastically reduced. For the first time since the Great Recoinage of 1816, the coins were no longer made of 92.5% sterling silver. Instead, they were now only 50% silver, with the rest made up of other metals. This was a huge break with tradition, but it was a sign of the economic pressures of the times. The public may not have noticed the difference at first, but the change was deeply symbolic. The sterling standard, which had been a hallmark of British currency for over 800 years, was gone from the coins in people's pockets. The situation became even more dire after the Second World War. Britain was once again financially exhausted. In 1947, the government decided it could no longer afford to include any silver at all in its circulating coins. The age of silver was truly over. The new silver coins, from the half-crown down to the sixpence, were now made from cupro-nickel, an alloy of copper and nickel. While they looked similar, they lacked the distinctive luster and feel of real silver. They were purely token coins, their value based entirely on public and government trust, not on any intrinsic worth. For nearly 3 decades, these cupro-nickel coins served the nation, but another great change was on the horizon. The old, complicated system of pounds, shillings, and pence. Pounds, shillings, and pence, or SD, was seen as outdated and inefficient in a modern world. Britain was going decimal. On the 15th of February 1971, known as Decimal Day, the familiar silver-colored coins of the past were replaced. The shilling and the 2-shilling piece, or florin, had a brief afterlife as the new 5 pence and 10 pence coins, but the beloved 6 pence and half-crown vanished from our change forever. The new decimal currency was logical and simple, with 100 new pence to the pound. But with its arrival, the last echoes of the ancient silver penny and its descendants disappeared from daily transactions. The journey that had begun with the Anglo-Saxons had finally come to an end in the pockets and purses of 1970s Britain. So, is the story of British silver coins over? Not at all. It has simply entered a new and fascinating chapter. While you won't find any silver in the change you get at the supermarket today, the Royal Mint is still very much in the business of striking beautiful silver coins. These modern issues, however, are not intended for circulation. They are created for a different purpose, for collectors, for investors, and to commemorate the great moments and people of our national story. They carry on the legacy of quality and craftsmanship that has defined British coinage for centuries. Every year, the Royal Mint releases a range of special commemorative coins struck in pure sterling, or even finer silver. These might celebrate a royal jubilee, a significant historical anniversary, or a beloved cultural icon. These coins are honestly works of art in their own right, using the latest minting technology to create stunningly detailed designs and flawless finishes. They are proof coins, struck multiple times to give them a mirror-like background and a frosted, sculptural design. They are a world away from the crudely hammered pennies of the past, but they share the same essential ingredient, precious silver. These modern silver coins serve as a tangible link to our history. When you hold a new silver Britannia coin with its iconic image of the female personification of Britain, you are holding a piece that connects back to the Roman coins first used on this island. The term sterling itself, which once described the purity of a medieval penny, is now a global byword for quality, excellence, and integrity. The influence of Britain's silver coinage can be seen around the world, in the names of currencies like the dollar, which evolved from the thaler, a large European silver coin, and in the standards of purity that many countries adopted. The journey of British silver coins is a story of power, art, technology, and trust. From the Roman denarius and the Anglo-Saxon penny to the debased shillings of Henry VIII and the glorious milled crowns of Charles II, these small metal discs have reflected the fortunes of the nation. They have funded wars, built empires, survived revolutions, and been held in the hands of every generation. Today, as collectors' items and symbols of national heritage, they continue to shine, a precious and enduring reminder of the long and fascinating history of Britain, stamped forever in sterling silver.